How is it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We've got some more routine maintenance to do today. We are tackling these spark plugs, something that a lot of people seem to despise. Personally, I don't think it's that bad. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself. But anyways, it is recommended you do this every 60,000 miles or every 60 months, whatever comes first. And there's basically two ways you can go about this. A lot of people choose to unbolt the engine mounts from underneath the car, jack the engine up, and that gives you just enough room. I don't feel like that's necessary and I don't want to have to do that. So we're going with option number two, where we move some stuff around in the engine bay to make our own room and finagle our way in there. We're gonna start off on the driver's side because that is the more difficult of the two. I've gone ahead and removed the two triangular braces. The next thing we're gonna do is unclip these hoses from the metal bracket. And then we can remove the 10mm bolt that's holding the bracket in place and set that aside. I'm also going to take this off of the hoses and we can reinstall this later. We need to remove this fuel rail cover next. It's held in with two 12mm bolts, one right here and then one in the very back of the engine. Once we have that cover removed, if I move the hoses here, you can look down there and you'll see that we have just enough room to reach those coil packs, which are held in with one 10mm bolt each. Try to get the best angle for you guys, but it is a bit dark down here and I can't have the camera in my way while I'm doing this. So I'm getting those 10mm bolts off right now. And then we will pull the coil packs out. One bolt, and we'll get the one in the front. There we go. We can pull the coil packs out now, starting with the one in the very front. Just keep in mind that those stems are made out of rubber, so you can bend them to get them out. Set that one back there. Now for the back one, I'm actually gonna pull it out just a little bit and then unplug it. And then that will give us enough room so that we can pull it out towards the front of the car. And we'll set that aside. We have access to the spark plugs now, so what you wanna do is take a deep well 14mm socket, insert it into one of the holes, followed along by a 3-inch extension. And then you press that extension into the socket. Make sure it's seated on the spark plug, and then you can get your ratchet down there. Once you feel the spark plug loose enough where you can undo it by hand, you want to take the ratchet off. To get the extension off of the ratchet, I'm actually going to take a flathead, get it in between, and then pry it off. Like so. Once you have the ratchet out, go ahead and unscrew the spark plug all the way. Make sure it's completely unscrewed because you don't want to take the tools out, and then figure out that you have to put them back in. Once you're sure the spark plug is out, we need to remove the 3-inch extension from the socket. So I've got my finger wedged in the hole to hold the socket in place while I pull the extension out. Now we're gonna take a flexible magnet to pull the socket out, as well as the spark plug. Now we can install the new spark plug. So insert that into the hole carefully. And then we're gonna do the reverse process with the socket. And then the 3-inch extension. And then we're going to hand tighten this first before we torque it down to 12.5 foot-pounds. Now I don't actually have a torque wrench that does 12.5 foot-pounds right now, so we are gonna do it by hand very carefully. Just make sure you don't overdo it because it's not much. Again, we'll use the flathead to take the extension off the ratchet. There we go. There goes that. Now we can get the extension and socket out. Same process for the one in the front of the engine. And once you've done that, we can get the coil packs installed. Those 10mm bolts are just, I believe, a little over 6 foot-pounds. So again, don't overdo it. And then we can move on to the other side once you've got the fuel rail cover reinstalled. On the driver's side, we do have a bit more room. All we need to do is unbolt the ECU that's held in with 3 10mm bolts, one up top, one in the front, and then one on the very bottom, and then move it back towards the battery. And we can do the same thing we did on the driver's side. With the ECU out of the way, we have access to those 2 coil packs. So we're gonna remove those 2 10mm bolts. Pull the coil pack in the front out first again, and then pull it up, and then we will tuck it back by the ECU. Then we can work on the one in the back and unplug it again. There we go. Pull that out towards the front, set it aside. Now we can work on the spark plugs. Do the one in the back first. So again, socket goes in first, and then the extension. And then the ratchet. Get the new one in there. Socket and the extension. All right, just one left. Don't really need to show you guys the last one, but I'll cut through it real quick and then we'll get it over with. And in she goes. All right guys, so now we just need to reinstall the coil packs, get the ECU back in its place, and we are set. That is all there is to it, guys. We are about a little over an hour in, so I'm confident that we could get this job done in about half an hour if I didn't have to film. Like I said, we don't have to jack the engine up and unbolt the engine mounts. You can definitely do these spark plugs with the engine as is, but if you are more comfortable with unbolting and jacking up the engine, certainly do it however you see fit. If you guys are interested in doing this yourself, I will leave a link to the OEM spark plugs that I use down in the description. If you're interested in following along on the build, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.